Hello and welcome back to the channel. Now this video is an update to my original review of the Helikon Pilgrim Anorak, specifically looking at my experiences of using this jacket over autumn and winter. Now I talked about all of the kind of core features of this jacket in my original review, so rather than repeat myself, I will just sort of leave a link to that video later on. But let's get right into it and answer two important questions. Was it warm enough, and what about waterproofness? How was it in the rain? Now how warm this jacket is actually a bit of a red herring, because really all it is a windproof shell that creates its own little microclimate. And for me, that is ideal. And it made it brilliant for the changing conditions of autumn and winter, because it goes from very, very mild at the start of autumn all the way to kind of sub-zero temperatures in the depths of winter. And what you can do then is you can change the insulating layer you wear underneath this jacket to match it to the given conditions. And I actually call this my Goldilocks jacket because I was never too hot, I was never too cold. I could just match my insulating layer to the given conditions and always be at a comfortable temperature. And once you've got your mid layer chosen, you can then kind of fine tune how warm you are by opening up all the various vents as I showed you in my original video. So you do actually get really comfortable with this jacket, and it is a fantastic and comfortable jacket to wear in the winter. Now, one thing I did find that's something to think about is as the winter wore on and it got colder and colder and I had to wear heavier and heavier fleeces, I found the jacket became harder and harder to put on. And that is because this anorak doesn't unzip all the way, so the zip only comes down to here, so you do have to put this anorak on over your head like you would a jumper. So when you're wearing a thick fleece, this tends to stick and it becomes quite hard to get on and off, especially as the fleece has got heavier and heavier. And when I had my Stratus heavyweight fleece, it really was a bit of a struggle sometimes, and it would kind of stick around the chest area. And it's not because this jacket is too small, there's plenty of room in this jacket. It's just, I think the material was made it a little bit tough. But as it got really cold, I changed to like an artificial down type jacket. And that was perfect, because what I found was the material on that is a bit like the outside of a sleeping bag, and it's really slippy. And when I put the jacket on, then it makes it so much easier to get the jacket on and off compared to fleece. The first time I actually took the jacket off, I almost kind of threw it on the floor because I'd been used to tugging the jacket with the fleece, and with that down like jacket, it just came off so easily. So if you're wondering whether to buy a kind of heavyweight fleece or buy a artificial down jacket to kind of go underneath this, I would definitely go for the artificial down. Now, another reason I say go for artificial down as opposed to real down is this jacket is not waterproof. Now, one of the things I did do was I washed the jacket with Nikwax Cotton Proof, which is designed to kind of waterproof the jacket. And then you run it, when I kind of ran it under the tap, all the water would bead off like it would with a waterproof jacket, and you think, jobs are good and that's going to work. And what I found was actually when I got into the rain, if it was like a fine drizzle, it just sort of saturated the jacket. It went straight through, it didn't bead up at all, it literally just went straight through, and within about 3 to 4 minutes I had kind of wet patches on my shoulders, even just walking up to my corner shop, which is a 5-minute walk. So that is not ideal at all. Strangely enough, it does work a little bit better with heavier rain. I don't know why that is, but I definitely found with a bit more force, with a bit more heavier rain, it does tend to bead a little bit more. So it's more kind of splash proof, but it does not make it rainproof at all. So don't expect any miracles from this jacket in terms of waterproofness. It is not. So what I found was, if I was out for an hour, like an hour or so walking the dogs, hour and a half, I would still wear this jacket even if it was expected to be showers. But if it was raining, or if we were expecting rain, I was out all day, I would definitely take a waterproof jacket with me that goes over the top. But I did find it quite comfortable to wear under a waterproof jacket, to be honest. So this is not a waterproof jacket, even with the waterproofing measures like Nikwax Cotton Proof. It does not make it waterproof. I know you can use a wax as well, and I believe the wax would make it waterproof, but obviously you lose a lot of the breathability when you do that, and my preference is breathability over waterproofness. Now that I've been using this jacket for about 6 months over the autumn and winter, I can tell you a little bit more about the features now. Which ones I'm using, which ones I'm enjoying, and which ones I haven't used so much. And the first thing is this kind of kangaroo pocket here. Now, I absolutely adore this pocket, and I'm using this far more than I thought I would, because it's just such a convenient pocket to have, and I find that everything tends to find its way into these pockets. So when I'm filming, I have my kind of mini tripod in there. I keep my gloves, I keep a snud, I keep my dog biscuits. I even keep a small kind of tea or coffee in here as well sometimes. It's just a really, really nice pocket to have, and it actually makes having the jacket not having a zip and put this over your head, worthwhile the extra hassle, because you wouldn't get this pocket otherwise, and it's a brilliant pocket. Love it to bits. Now, the other pocket I tend to use a lot are these kind of Napoleon pockets, and these are big, but I tend to keep things like my mobile phone and my valuables in here. And the reason I keep them separate is the kangaroo pocket, which I use a lot, it tends to stay open because my hands are always kind of finding the way in there, even though I do wear gloves. So I like to keep my valuables separately so it's zipped up and I'm not going to lose them. So that's kind of why I do that. Now, the pockets that I don't use so much are these kind of chest pockets. Now, I actually bought this jacket because I thought I'd use the chest pockets all the time. And what I find is the button is a little bit stiff, and also it's just a little bit harder to get in. It's kind of a slightly awkward angle, so I tend not to use these that much. That said, what these pockets are really good for is things that you need to have on you, but you don't need to get access to regularly. So things like an emergency whistle, emergency torch, you can keep those in here absolutely fine, and you don't need to get access to them, so the stiff button isn't really a problem. And then the stuff you're accessing regularly, keep them in the Napoleon pockets or in the kangaroo pocket instead. Now, the arm pockets, I do keep a hand gel in here, and I found that's really useful because if my hands are dirty, I'm just going into one pocket and contaminating one pocket, as opposed to rummaging around in my other pockets trying to find the kind of hand gel. So it's quite handy to keep that separate in the arm pocket. Other than that, the only thing I use the arm pockets for is ventilation when I'm getting too hot and I need to kind of cool myself down. Now, the other feature I really do like about this, and I'm really starting to appreciate it, is this kind of hemline. Now, because this is so long, it does cover your ear end, so if you've got a rucksack on and your trousers are coming down, you stand kind of still decent, you're not going to moon anybody behind you, which is useful. But also, if you sit on a log, it just gives that little bit of extra protection too. But the main reason that I really like this kind of loose, long hem is it allows me to go to the floor and pick something up off the ground. And when I'm with my dogs, I have to do that all the time because I'm checking the paws, I'm picking up a ball, I'm picking up the poo. So actually being able to go down with a long hemline is a real bonus, because I've got other long jackets where I can't do that and I need to kind of unzip it from the bottom, or I need to hike it up before I go down. So just being able to go down to the floor and pick something up is a real bonus, and I really, really do appreciate that. In fact, this long kind of loose floppy smock is now a format I'm converted to for life, I think, because I don't think I would go back to a regular jacket after wearing this smock for 6 months, because what I find is while the jacket looks more traditional and it's more in place in the town and the city, while it looks a little bit odd in the countryside, this is so practical, and I'm a conveyor. I absolutely love this. So smocks for me all the way now. Really, really like it. Now, the other feature that you need to talk about for autumn and winter is probably the hood. And the hood is something I only tend to wear when I'm not with the dogs, because it does cut down your vision, it does cut down your hearing a little bit, and when I've got my dogs with me I need to be constantly aware. Although they're very good with recall now, I need to be aware for things like other dogs on a lead, whether there's a deer, if they're having a poo that I need to pick up, so I'm constantly looking out for them. But when I'm not with the dogs, I do use the hood, and it's a really nice hood to use because it's quite light, it's very generous, it's very roomy, you can adjust it so you can see properly. And the key thing for me is I don't overheat, because with a lot of hoods I find that I get too hot and sticky, but this one is actually vented, so that doesn't happen. And when it's kind of really windy, the hood over the top, it really just cut that wind out, create its own, it feels like you're in your own little kind of microclimate when you're out and about, when you've got the hood up, so it's a really nice hood to use. So I think in summary, what I would say is, having used this jacket now for 6 months over the autumn winter, yes, it is perfectly suitable for autumn winter use. And if you're thinking about buying this jacket, I would just go out and buy it. It is actually worth it. It's a really nice, comfortable jacket to wear. It's practical, and I just love it. This is by far my favourite jacket. So I hope that was useful. I hope it helps, and I'll see you next time.